Ready to go? Okay, ready. All right. Calling this public hearing to order at 7 p.m. on Wednesday, October 25th, 2023. This meeting is being recorded for transcription purposes only, and the written minutes and attachments, if any, will serve as the official record of this meeting. Any personal conversations should be saved until after the meeting so that those attending virtually will be able to hear. Any board member who has a monetary interest or has a conflict, including ex parte communication, should disclose now. And I will now ask the secretary to call the roll.
Calabro.
Here.
Who?
Excused absence.
Thank you. Zalesnik.
Here.
Schaefer.
Here.
Rubel.
Here.
Schrader.
Here.
In the audience is zoning inspector Wilson, alternate Romanovsky, and trustee Augustine.
Is there anybody virtually?
No one virtually.
Okay.
Up to.
All right. If you would please read the legal notice. Is that right?
The Hinckley Township Board of Zoning Appeals will hold a public hearing on Wednesday, October 25th, 2023 at 7:00 p.m. in the Town Hall Meeting Room of the Administration Building located at 1410 Ridge Road, which is on the southwest corner of the intersection of State Routes 3 and 303. Subject of the public hearing is as follows. An application for variance AP0277 was submitted by David Christopher on behalf of property owner Joseph Van Dusen of 1041 Center Road, Hinckley, Ohio. Permanent parcel number 01603B45009, requesting to permit newly created residential parcel A, to share an existing oil well access driveway at the stated address, which does not meet the driveway requirements pursuant to the Hinckley Township zoning regulations. Inspection of this property will take place Saturday, October 21st, 2023 at 10:00 a.m. Zoning reference chapter 4 general regulations, section 4.4.p and 4.4.c driveways, and chapter 6 subsection 6R1.4.g area, yard, and height regulations of the Hinckley Township zoning regulations. Copies of the application and other supporting material will be available for public viewing from the date of this notice to the date of hearing at the zoning department located in the administration building at 1410 Ridge Road during regular office hours, Monday 10 a.m. to 6 p.m., Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday 9 a.m. to 2 p.m., and Friday 9 a.m. to noon. Information may also be found on the Hinckley website at www.hinkleytwp.org under News and Events titled Board of Zoning Appeals, Public Hearing, October 25th, 2023. All interested parties are asked to attend this hearing or to send written comments to the Hinckley Township Board of Zoning Appeals, P.O. Box 344, Hinckley, Ohio 44233.
Thank you. And has the notice been sent to the appropriate property owners?
Yes.
All right. The Hinckley Township Board of Zoning Appeals acts within the authority of Section 519 of the Ohio Revised Code and exercises its powers as provided under Chapter 7 and 13 of the Hinckley Township zoning regulations. All public hearings are open to the public. All persons wishing to testify must do so from the podium, must identify themselves and give their residence address, and they also must be sworn in. Evidence and testimony must be pertinent to the hearing, and it is at my discretion to limit personal comments, personal attacks, opinions, and or repetitious statements or testimony or evidence previously given. Disruptive persons will lose their right to remain at this hearing, and personal attacks will not be tolerated. This is a hearing upon the application of David Christopher on behalf of property owner Joseph Van Dusen of the property located at 1041 Center Road, Hinckley, Ohio, for a variance from the enforcement of certain Hinckley Township zoning resolution sections to property owned by the applicant. The applicant has submitted a packet that the board should have, which includes the original variance application, letter to the zoning board, letters from ODOT, and the proposed shared driveway prints. And all of these are related to the variance request. Notice of application was properly given in local newspapers, and the application has been available for public review and comment. I will now ask the secretary if we've received any phone calls or any other correspondence related to this application.
There was, either probably a phone call from Marla Paul, but nothing else.
Okay, and there's no detail on that. Okay, I note for the record, the non-written communication made by known or unknown persons not under oath at a properly noticed hearing is not accepted by the Board of Appeals as testimony. Each member of the Board of Appeals has been provided a copy of this application and a copy of each of the other documents submitted in support of it. At this point, we'll now poll the board by responding yes to if they have received the application and also if they've conducted a site visit.
Calabro,
Yes and yes on the visit Saturday, the 21st, I think it is. Yes.
Valesnik,
Yes and yes on Saturday visitation.
Schaefer,
Yes, on both and inspected Saturday, the 21st.
Schrader,
Yes and yes, Saturday, 21.
Rubel,
Yes and yes on Saturday, October 21st.
Written communications from persons not present this evening may include communications that are not made by affidavit. And because these communications are made by a person not under oath, they are not accepted by this board. I also note that written communication may include some writing by affidavit by persons that are not present this evening and therefore cannot be subjected to cross-examination. These affidavits therefore will not be given much weight, if any, in the decision of the board on this matter. This board does have the power to grant a variance request. And again, those people that wish to speak must do so from the podium, must state their name and address before the board. At this point, I would ask the applicant to step up. And if I could swear you in,
Sure.
I, please state your name,
I, David Christopher,
swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, as you
Swear.
shall answer unto God.
swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth,
As you shall answer unto God. You can just.
as you shall answer unto God. Yes.
Thank you. All right, so if you would just give us a summary of what you're
Sure.
requesting this evening.
Yes,
I know we
so-
have a packet here that explains, but if you can.
Yes. So I'll give you a little bit of an abbreviated, longer story. My wife and I both grew up in the community. I went in Granger. She grew up on the property that her family still lives on. After college, I was offered a job for us to move to Tampa. So we followed that, lived in Tampa for 6 years. We had a daughter in March of 2022 and decided to move home to be closer to family. When we started to think about housing and where we wanted to live, my father-in-law, who owns 1041 Center Road, offered to allow us to build a house on a couple of acres on that property. We originally came to the township with the proposed parcel, which was approved. And then we sent it to the county for their approval and transfer of the deeds. And they told us that we had to contact ODOT because they could not approve a parcel for transfer without a driveway. So I approached ODOT. I talked with Jared Feller, who the emails are all from. I think it's District 3. They did a review. I submitted an application to them. They did a review. And due to their guidelines, they rejected our requests and suggested that we share the driveway, which we're asking you guys to share at 1041 at the old oil well.
And that's why you're here.
That's why we're here.
I just have two quick questions.
Yeah.
And I'll hand it off to the other members. You know, you have two letters from ODOT.
Yes,
And one is dated August 22nd, and that's when they're telling you that they're not going to grant
yes,
that access or the driveway. And then they say there's an appeal process.
correct.
And then there's another, did you appeal?
I did not.
Okay,
Yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say September 6th, then there's another letter which basically states the same thing. And so the September 6th is not the appeal, an answer to your
Correct.
appeal. You did not.
No,
Was there a fee to get the driveway from ODOT to apply?
I don't think so.
Okay, do you know if there's a fee to appeal?
I don't, honestly, I don't know.
Okay. So you didn't appeal?
No.
Their decision and. so
Correct.
You could do it that way.
Correct.
Okay.
Can I really respond to that? So when we got the rejection, we were pretty upset and I talked with Jared quite a bit. So a little more of the background. The 1041 is mostly agricultural land. So it's farmed. There's 4 current access points to 1041. There's the oil well driveway that we're talking about. There are 2 separate access points that the farmer accesses. So there's one to the east of where the farmhouse is, and then there's a creek that runs through the back of the property, and there's another driveway on the far side of the creek so that he can access farmland behind the property.
That's off of 94.
River, yeah, 94 right there. Yeah, so the 4th driveway is a rental property at the farmhouse that's rented out. So when we talked to him, he said that all of their regulations have changed where they're only allowing 1 access point per piece of property. And when talking about it with him for a time's sake, I asked him if he believed that we would have any case with appeals. And I think he put in the more recent letter towards the end that he doesn't believe that even if we were to appeal it, anything would change. There's already 4 access points on the piece of property. Regardless of any splits or any new driveways, their recommendation was essentially to contact ODOT before Joe, who owns the property, does anything else with his property, because everything is going to have to be shared or moved with the current existing points.
So I guess you addressed the appeal.
Correct.
And then kind of verbally.
Decided
He said.
other options were
Official, you didn't file an
correct.
appeal, but-
I did not file an official appeal.
Okay, and obviously you weren't aware of the restrictions, the shared driveway zoning restrictions when you started this whole process?
No.
All right, I'm done.
Okay, I got several questions,
Sure.
comments. If I'm saying something wrong, please jump in and
Sure.
tell me. First of all, they mentioned a category 3 access facility. Did they explain what that was?
No.
Okay. And you love these driveways that you're mentioning, they're access. They're basically a covered culvert to go
Correct.
into farmland or an oil well. So they're not residential type driveways. They're just access points to get onto the land.
One of the 4 is a
Okay,
driveway.
the one on the.
Yeah, the
house.
farmhouse, correct.
Okay. Right now, the property is owned by Joseph and Mary Van Dusen.
Correct.
They're going to deed it over to sell it to you.
Correct.
David Christopher, so you'd be a different owner.
Correct.
Now, did they say anything about with the different ownership?
Yes.
That mattered?
So one of the so the reason that there's 2 correspondences from Jared, we got the initial letter. I called him, I talked with him. Frankly, we were all kind of bummed and upset and didn't quite understand. And I asked him to clarify specifically on that point. I think, and I don't know the exact language, but it says in that letter somewhere, regardless of property change, it's the current owner. So it says in there that the current, whatever current driveways there are, you can't parcel anything off without, I think, like sharing a common access point.
So even though these are access to fields, they're not residential access driveways, other than one.
Correct.
And I think you made a comment, correct me if I'm wrong, you said it didn't matter how many parcels they made, you weren't going to be able to get a driveway per parcel
Correct.
for our regulations,
Correct. Per ODOT.
for ODOT, yeah.
Correct.
So it'd be interesting to see what this category 3 access facility is. Because I mean, I did a couple Google searches.
Sure.
And I went down like along Ledge Road, State Route 3,
Sure.
between Ridge and Stony Hill. And the average driveway center line to center line is 140 to 165 feet. That's a 50-mile-an-hour zone right now. It used to be 55, I believe. On Ridge Road, SR3, State Highway, between 606 and Ledge, the driveway distances are 175 to 212.
Yeah.
That's 50 miles an hour right now, I believe was 55. And right across from where you're at right now, or where you're hoping to be,
Yes.
if you're going to the east, they run from 115 to 220 feet distances. If you go to the west, 70 feet to 150 feet.
Yeah.
So this 360 feet just, in my mind, just does not make sense. I just want to throw these comments out.
Sure. Frankly, it didn't make a lot of sense to us either. And we specifically asked him An example of this is there's a piece of property further east up the hill on 303 that a parcel was split off and a driveway was granted by ODOT. And the only explanation we got is that there's a difference in elevations where it wasn't safe to share a driveway. Everything they told us was what you're seeing there, that the driveway distance, gapping, everything like that.
Okay, now if I remember when I was out there, that was a fairly flat area.
Yes,
So there wasn't any site problems?
No.
Or any other problems I could see which would cause why they want 360 feet. Now, right now, our minimum 2-acre frontage is 175 feet. You're asking for 200 feet. And there's no way you could split lots in there to meet this requirement of 360 feet per driveway. I mean, you might get one lot in there,
yeah,
but it just does not make sense with our regulations versus what ODOT is saying. I mean,
Sure.
all right, but he's still saying that you need that 360 feet, and no matter how many parcels you put in there,
correct.
you're not going to get a driveway without
So I think,
sharing a farm field culvert, basically, that's what they are.
yes,
And that they're not access driveways.
But they are.
believe me when I tell you, Joe, who owns the property, when he learned this, it doesn't do a lot for the value of all of that frontage in Hinckley. So
So that's another point I want to bring up. What they're saying is ODOT is restricting the ownership of the
Correct.
properties to make money or split their property off based on these regulations. Am I
correct.
correct?
Yes, and this has been a topic, but I don't know what we could do with the state government.
Who is Jared Feller? Like, where is he in ODOT? What is it?
Um,
The only guy that's gonna make the decision?
So he didn't make this decision. He was essentially the liaison. Like, I don't know his exact title, but how I worked with Tom, he communicates to their board.
Yeah, I don't exactly know.
Oh, no.
I think his title is probably on the email.
It's not actually.
No?
Yeah.
Yeah, but the bottom line is that they're not going to grant you the ability to split this lot off without
Correct.
giving a easement from a well driveway, not a residential driveway, a well access.
I don't think they're making a distinction though.
Well, there is a distinction. I mean, it's a well road. I mean, it's not even a driveway. It's just it runs through the field.
While we're on the well,
Sure.
how often does a vehicle use that driveway?
I think it's quarterly. They come out to inspect it.
So 4 times a year?
Sure.
That was another question I had. Plus, how many times we go in the field? A couple, maybe a half a dozen times a year if you're fertilizing and
The farmer?
planting and
Yeah, I don't know exactly how many times. Spring and fall.
this is, it's almost like we're fighting a resolution from Hinckley versus ODOT.
Believe me,
That's why I asked at the very beginning about the appeal, if you had gone through that process.
Because if-
it doesn't make sense.
Because if we deny you, all you can do is appeal, and it's up to them.
Yeah.
And if we grant it, we can't even do it with a condition that you would appeal. You'd almost have to, huh?
I thought about that too.
Yeah, all we could say is that if we did approve it, so you could go ahead with the lot split, the only thing I would say is I'd strongly advise that you go through an appeal process.
yeah,
Because I don't think I'd want my driveway coming off here,
It's-
going across here, going into a lot.
yeah,
And I'm sure you're gonna be building a very nice home.
yeah. Believe me,
It
I
just doesn't-
never,
Does not make sense.
this has been almost probably since we first split 6-month process. I did not anticipate all of this for 2 acres and all of the roadblocks and the hiccups that we've come across. It is, I think unfortunately, it's kind of ODOT saying, no, the township has to make a decision on their regulations because we're not going to break on ours.
And the township basically says, you must not have a shared driveway.
I know.
But
But their
The shared
reasoning,
driveway-
reasoning is safety, right? What is their reason?
that's what I want to know, because what is this category 3? Because I don't see where safety is involved at all.
But
Part of it, from what I understand, part of it is that because 1041 is a single parcel, the regulations from ODOT is that a parcel today, if a parcel was to be created today with that much frontage, it would get one approved access point from ODOT, just one. There's already 4 access points. And part of, I think, their argument is regardless of who owns this, regardless of how it's split, there's 4 access points. You can make things work with those 4 access points rather than adding another one.
What if your parcel was moved to the, what are we going, east? You have to have an easement going all the way across?
Sure.
Maybe 100 feet,
Yeah.
200 feet to get to it,
Correct.
according to the way
So-
they're thinking?
So there were 2 options. In his letter, he said, 1, use a shared driveway, or 2, you can move a driveway. So we thought about both. We can't move the farmhouse driveway. We can't move the agriculture access driveway because it's his agriculture property. So moving the oil well driveway, the oil well is on his property. They're accessing it via his property. To move that driveway onto our property, now they would be accessing our property to get to an oil well on his property. It didn't make sense for us to move that 50 feet when my father-in-law owns the land. I can't anticipate a house being built right next to that farm or right next to that oil well. And it was frankly, what we considered the easiest of our not a lot of options.
David, can I just ask you really
Yeah.
fast? I know I brought this up and I didn't want to get into it too much when we were there. So there's
Sure.
a parcel that's like right here. It's already split off. right?
Correct.
This one?
No, it's below this.
Correct. It intersects
Not
with the back left. I don't know what direction that
It's
is.
about here. And I don't know exactly where it is.
Oh, that's
So
from the
Here,
county map.
east or west?
Oh, it's these 2.
It's on River Road.
Okay.
It's
Yeah.
north on River Road to the
Going
west on I guess it'd be the northwest corner of the proposed parcel.
Okay, up here.
Right.
Yes.
So it's this.
yes. So have you gotten approval for driveway access on that parcel?
So very abbreviated story. It was a family matter. There was 2 acres that was being given to a sibling. We split that off. It was attached to her property. I don't know if it was approved because it was already attached to her property and she already had a driveway accessing her property. But she has since decided that she wants a different 2 acres. That 2 acres is being reabsorbed into the 1041 property at the same time with the county that this would be transferred. I honestly, I don't know. I wasn't a part of the process
Okay.
during that.
Do you know if anybody else knows? I'm just thinking this would be if it's approximately the same, I know this is not what you want, but if it's almost the same acreage and it's already been split, then maybe we don't have to, if that's been a consideration.
For us to build our home there, for reasons I would rather not get into, that would not sort of be ideal for our family.
It's already done, but okay.
I would like to know.
I
too,
appreciate
that
the question.
The letter from Jared, the first letter, it doesn't say that the 360 is required. It says it's preferred.
I think if I could come in, I think,
It does say right there.
Says
It does say
preferred.
I think
Required.
again, part of that is, hey, regardless of what the distance is, we're not giving you another driveway because there's already 4 access points.
Yeah, that's not what their rules say, though.
Well, this is the 3rd hearing we've had on this matter
Recent.
recently. I
Yeah.
mean, just within the last 2 years.
Mhm.
Okay, and so on the very first one, we granted it. And so they were supposed to have 1 driveway that would branch off. But they ended up putting in the 3 driveways they wanted anyways. So why did the state of Ohio allow that? Then on the second one, we turned them down and voila, he ends up with his driveway. So I kind of wonder maybe you just turn it down and then they say, okay, you can have it.
They,
Now,
uh,
the thing is, and it's been brought up here, and I've been thinking of since I first read this, weeks ago, is that basically, by them telling your father-in-law that he can't develop this property anymore unless they get shared driveways. And if they're turning it down and we're turning it down, that's a taking of his land.
Correct.
I'm not a lawyer, okay? I'm telling you that right now. But if that isn't a definition of taking the land, I don't know what is, because he can never do anything with it.
Yeah.
So I look at it as the state of Ohio came up with this ruling. And I don't know the justification for it or anything else like that. But if it's valid and the state of Ohio really is truly concerned about safety and such like this, they should put in the access roads running parallel in their right of way, and then you can branch off. I've seen this, the park does that. Yeah, the Parkway does it. I go to other states and there's large commercial developments and they put in one access way. So I can understand the concept and all that bit. But I don't know why they're going to landowners and telling them, guess what? You're not going to develop your property, or you can't put the driveways in, and they get the driveways anyways. So I think the state of Ohio's, shotgunning this thing all over the place. And it's their problem. They came up with this. I don't think it's incumbent upon Hinckley Township to fix the problems that the state of Ohio has created.
Yeah, I don't disagree, but I don't know how as just a regular
Oh,
old
you're stuck in
citizen
the
can
middle.
have any impact on that.
Yeah, but I understand you're stuck in the middle.
Yeah.
But after seeing the fact that everybody gets their driveway anyways.
Well, I don't know. We don't know.
We
what
can- we
happened.
can't,
Yeah,
Well, the
With the
fact
first,
is,
we granted it and
Yeah.
then they did whatever they wanted to do.
right,
So I don't know
and
if ODOT said,
and-
yeah, that's okay. Second one, we denied it and they went ahead and got approval from ODOT. So I don't know what.
I don't know how it happened,
Yeah.
okay?
I don't know if the
Yeah.
second one, if we denied it and then they went back and appealed to
Yeah,
ODOT, which you did not at the beginning. That's the reason I was asking.
Sure, I
if you
understand.
went through the appeal process, because if you did go through the appeal process, then you would have a hardship basically that you can't do anything with your land.
right.
But right now, you have a hardship, but there's still another
No. The one that we
option.
Yeah.
denied was a residential driveway that they wanted to use, going through a residential area through barns.
Yeah.
Yeah,
This is a well road. Not even a road, it's just a path going back to the well, like most well
sure.
access roads are. So we're talking about different things here, and my problem here is if we deny it, you have to go through a appeal process. By the time you make the appeal, they get back to you. I don't know what your deadlines of trying to get this property deeded.
It was a long time ago. My deadline was many months ago, unfortunately. But yes, I understand what you're saying.
So if we deny it, then you're gonna have to go through the appeal of hope. But if we would approve it, and this is only coming from me,
Sure.
I would strongly suggest that you appeal it anyhow.
Yeah,
On the fact that the hardship is that it's just going through another property with an easement to get to.
correct.
You're building a nice house. It just doesn't make sense.
And
Going
that
through a
may
well
be-
road.
That may be what happened with the second one. We don't know. We denied it and they may have gone back and appealed it, and then they granted it, which it would be to your benefit to do that anyways.
Yeah.
It would be much
So-
better to have your own driveway than to have a.
Yeah, so if I could elaborate, we were stuck in a weird catch-22 where the state would not grant us access for a driveway without us already owning the property completely separate of my father-in-law.
Mhm.
And ODOT would not grant us. I had already said that. ODOT would not grant us the driveway unless we owned the property, and Medina County would not deed it to us without a driveway. So it's like going in circles. I don't know, and I hear what you're saying, and it makes sense that if the property was in our name and we appealed for a driveway, I don't know what their answer would be
Yeah.
different, but then it's our property. And then exactly what you guys were saying, like you're restricting access to property that's owned. Frank, it's been a crazy, crazy year, and I did not anticipate all of this. And I've learned more about roads and different levels of local and state government than I ever frankly wanted to, but it's been, here we are.
I wish they would have defined what a category 3 access is. That's the part, because it's flat. I mean, there's no site problem. These other places I'm talking about has got hills on them.
Sure.
They've got close driveways. I don't see where it's an accident problem, because if you're gonna pull out of a driveway, if someone pulls out in front of someone, it's gonna happen no matter what.
Sure.
Or if someone stops for a driveway, it's gonna happen no matter if that driveway is 10 feet away or 500 feet away. So I wish I knew what their
I don't
justification
necessarily
was.
think this is a safety issue that they're stating. It's more that they already have 4 access points and they're not gonna grant. him
Yeah, I
that.
just
Because
can't
if
buy
there
the,
was a safety issue, if they don't want to do it for safety, why would we give a
Right.
variance? It would still be a safety issue. Why would we do that?
Yeah, and just to clarify, I mean, I'm not purporting to give legal advice. I'm just looking at the definitions, but basically a category 3 is any state route that's not an expressway, a highway, or a crash danger, or
Okay.
it's urban density. So it's like basically every other state route.
okay, so that has nothing to do with,
Yeah.
The only thing I could think is that their regulations are different on state routes than they are on, I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, they don't have jurisdiction.
so how many more access points again was there on 303 other than the house and the well?
One,
Wow.
so the property has 4. There's
Right.
3 on 303 and 1 on Route 94, River
Right.
Road.
Can I ask, because I was looking at the maps and I know that they're not always correct, but is the existing house that is not in that parcel, I think where your father-in-law and mother-in-law live?
To the east?
Yes.
Yes.
Does that have a shared driveway that goes on this parcel as well?
I don't understand.
The rental?
The rental property?
No.
So-
The one
so
on 303.
There's
Apartment.
Oh, I thought the one on 303 was the rental.
So on the Greater Van Duzen property, the 26 acres is its own parcel. It's a part of a larger piece of property. There's a rental property that's on 1041. My in-laws' individual property is to the east. It shares a property line. They do not have a shared driveway. They have their own access point, but he purchased that property on his own from a completely different owner after the fact. 30 some years ago. 965 Center Road.
I'm sorry, I have this up earlier and I pulled it all down.
The only thing I see is, and I don't, I think the split goes right after the right of way, which
Right.
is not this,
Correct.
long driveway that you're sharing. So I mean,
And it's not a residential.
it's not, and we cannot approve it contingent on him going further. We
Correct.
Approve it or deny it,
Right, correct.
just to.
And the only difference, I
Make
think,
sure we all understand
the
that.
only difference, I think, is that the split is not to another residential
Right.
property.
Correct.
It's to a well.
And to Bill's point, they're accessing this road 4 times a year.
Right.
Even if it's once a month, it's still 12 times a year.
So I'm sorry,
Yeah.
can I just show you what I'm
Please.
talking about? And I'll show them as well. So, and these can be off by a few feet, but this is more than a few. But this driveway has an access point that would be on the larger 26-acre parcel, the way this is shown. So is that one of the ones that they're counting as 4?
You're talking about 965.
Yes.
When my dad was
You have to
alive.
come up.
Yeah,
I'm
step up,
sorry.
please.
I.
Come up
To speak, you have to step up.
You have to be sworn in.
Can you please state your name and address?
Joseph Van Duzen, 965 Center Road.
Swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth is your answer.
I swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and
Just
Just
say
say
Just say I do.
I do.
Go ahead.
Okay, The lady brought up a good point. When my dad was alive, he was concerned about safety because our driveway is at the base of the hill coming down 303. And if anybody's been down those Camelback Hills on 303, you know, people fly through there. So he was concerned of me having a drive on the original property that I bought, the 4.96 acres. He gave me an extra 50 feet. So that now you can see up the hill and they have an extra 50 feet of stopping distance, which is huge when people are flying down the hill. So that's why it's, and they did not count that as the fourth. They did not. So don't tell them it'll be 5 and then we'll never, you know. And I appreciate the comments about the land's gonna be worthless. Government control is just, so is my taxes gonna go down because I can't do anything with my property?
Probably go well.
Right. And that's the frustrating part. And to a side note, I think part of this may have been, ODOT is planning a culvert replacement on River Road. And the company ACOM is representing the state, okay? Been a rough go with these people. I had questions and the guy basically told me, it's the state of Ohio, they do whatever they want. And if you don't accept it, we're gonna take it. So this culvert issue was going on in my correspondence and my negotiations with ACOM, the same time we were trying to get a driveway. So I'm not saying that they're retaliating against us, but it's coincidental that they were both going on at the same time. I've since accepted Ohio's or the ACOM's offer. Or I countered offered actually. But it's been very frustrating because I think part of their denial was to prove a point to me that either you do what we tell you or you're gonna pay for it. So, and again, it's been very frustrating.
Yeah. I assume the culvert project is they're looking to get some land so they can have sort of an opening into the culvert.
Exactly. The ditch on River Road is very steep and very close to the road. They want to put it out into my field. Which would be River Road runs. Well, they are. They basically said, either you accept our offer or we're going to take it.
Right.
Eminent domain. And I agree that the work, it's a safety issue probably. The culvert needs to be replaced. My question was on the valuation that they put on the property of I think it was $40,000 or something like that for that lot that was created off of River Road. And I said, if you find me 10 lots, I'll buy them for that price because you're not going to find property. And it's just a long story. But it's been very frustrating dealing with ACOM. In fact, they even changed the wording on the contract, the guy that I was dealing with. I've put in a request to speak with the supervisor, never got a request. I sent an email to the corporate, never got a response. But again, they're paid by the state of Ohio. So which is my tax money, which is working against me.
Right, appreciate that.
I hope you find a good lawyer.
Well, and that's the thing, but I don't even want to talk, but that's another issue.
No, let's not go there.
But
That's another story.
yeah, so I would spend all my money, and that's what the guy said. Well, you can fight it. But again, if I'm gonna get $5,000 and spend $10,000 on a lawyer,
I understand.
and
Speaking on behalf of Joey.
and well, it's just been very frustrating.
Okay,
Appreciate
get
it.
back on this track.
Appreciate it.
So,
I
yeah,
think the only thing we can look at is possibly is the fact that we're not sharing a driveway with another residential residence.
Right, and the fact that it's so close to the right of way where it kind of branches off.
well, and that was
That's a plus
intentionally
too.
done that way.
Right.
I worked with Weller Surveying, in case I ever would want or be able to put a parcel or a sell off, you know, a lot where the oil well is. You know, when we did this lot split, we looked at the property and the best way to divide it.
Sure.
That lot on River Road is gonna go away.
Excuse me, I'm gonna have to have you come to the microphone just so everyone can hear you virtually. I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Where was I?
The
No,
reason
start
that
from the
it's drawn
beginning.
this way, close to the right of way is because.
Yeah, we met with Jim Weller, who's done some other surveying for me. And that's why we drew it this way so that it wouldn't prohibit future considerations of a lot where the oil well is, because you have to be 100 feet from an oil well. and doing the boundaries and stuff.
Okay,
I didn't want to cut myself off for future.
thank you.
Okay,
So, sure.
okay, again, I'm speaking for myself.
Yes.
If we should grant this, I would strongly advise that you go for an appeal.
Yeah. If it's in our name,
Well,
that cycle we were
Once it's
stuck in
if it's your
breaks.
name, If we grant it, which will allow you to buy the property, I would strongly advise you go for an appeal. Again, I'm speaking for myself only.
Yes,
Moving, so you might have to reapply once you get.
I am praying that we're breaking ground before ground is frozen, because I've lived with my mother and my toddler and my wife for almost 13 months. Yes, so I appreciate the timing perspective. Our plan is have a driveway, have a lot, build a house, reconvene when we can. And I will, and I actually, I hadn't really considered what you said. If it is in our name and I appeal it, how do they say, no, you can't have access to your property that the township, the county, every other level of government has already approved?
Okay, thank you. Tom, do you have anything to add to this?
No, I mean,
Tom.
We've been through this with the family and I think you guys asked the right questions tonight and
Tom's my favorite 65-year-old. No offense.
Anybody else in the audience have anything they'd like to?
Gentlemen,
Yeah, sure.
I'm Norm, Norm Christopher, 1475 Snowberry and Granger Township.
sure to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth is your answer unto God.
Yes, ma'am,
Thank you.
I do. I just want to, on David and Lindsay's behalf, I'm David's father, Lindsay's father-in-law, our family. I think the purpose of this is to appeal to your better conscience and to fairness. What David and Lindsay have gone through to try to resolve this, for a young couple with a great start in life, with a family, and wanting to be in this community for all the right reasons. It brings real tension on a family when your plan gets derailed and it doesn't make sense why that's the case. And that's what's happening here. In addition to the baby, it's the two dogs. And and I will tell you, we love having them in our home, but it's not good for a young couple. And we believe that they've done everything and everything is lined up for them to be successful and really influential members of this community. I would love to see them be a part of this community for a long, long time. David forgot to say, actually went to Hinckley grade school before it flipped over to, the new alignment. So I am, as a father, what I can tell you is, I know you can't do this conditionally, but it's an elegant solution to a very complicated problem. The worst case scenario would be that it's approved and they build, an alternative route using a dirt road coming up to a well to access their parcel. Worst case scenario, that would be improved significantly from what it is today. I can guarantee you that their objective is going to be to continue to appeal this and push, because what is really in their best interest and what's in the best interest of that property is to have a driveway on a property that's deeded to them. So I just want to tell you, I appreciate your listening and giving me an opportunity to speak to on their behalf. So thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to call Mr. Van Duzen up again. Will you grant an easement across your property for this driveway?
Yes, sir. In fact, we've already gone with the Weller surveying. They've recorded, I believe they have the description, if I'm not mistaken, already prepared, so that if we're granted the access, we can move forward.
Okay, thank you.
Well, that'd be a stumbling block, wouldn't it? Sorry, kid.
Moving out of my parents next door to hers.
Okay.
Okay, we appreciate you vouching for your son. We don't do family counseling. We can only go by our code. But I think, as we said, whether we approve, everybody has a vote.
Yeah.
On their own. And I agree with Dave in the fact that if we do approve this, we cannot do it on the condition that you file an appeal with ODOT, but it would be encouraged. once you had-
Frankly, in my best interest.
Because it would be, for your own property. and
Correct.
to have, So, and I'll just leave it at that. If anybody else has anything else to say,
have
we'll
nothing
go to
else.
Duncan factors.
Anything?
Before we do the Duncan factors,
Sure.
they were just mentioning, with Dave's question, would they be willing to give, an easement to come off the oil well driveway? Is that correct?
Yes,
I think they are. That's.
Yeah.
yes, they are.
And then, that would be their solution to, if they don't get the state of Ohio
Well,
to approve it.
right.
That's what they're
Okay.
asking for right now.
That's what the whole point of this evening is. And then that's just a suggestion. If it turns out
Yeah.
to be a yes vote and if we give you the variance, it is not a
Yeah.
condition.
No, I understand.
But I wanted to make sure that's what we were voting on, was to allow them to use the oil well driveway.
Yes.
Okay,
Common
I
access
just,
point.
just wanted that very clear.
Are we
And
ready for
that'll
a
be a
motion?
motion. No, we'll do the Duncan factors
Duncan
first and then we'll do them. Okay. We're good. If you
I
have
can sit?
anything else, you can sit, yeah.
Thank you, guys.
Anything else in the audience before we take our Dunkins?
Trustee Augustine, did you have a comment at some point? And then we kind of totally ignored your hand.
Do you want me to come to the mic?
Yes, please.
Sure, please.
I was just gonna give you just a quick notation that Jared from ODOT is the person who does all the planning. As a person who sits on the Medina County Planning Commission, he regularly does all the planning for ODOT, so that's how I know him.
Okay, okay. Yeah, we were wondering what his position was. Okay, thank you. If no one else has anything, we'll go on to the Duncan factors. Okay. All right.
Well, this will be interesting because it's not a property that's there yet.
Yeah, I was gonna ask that. Are we analyzing it?
Because we're
Based
not
on if it
analyzing a
were
property
split?
right now for the Duncan factors.
Well, we're still granting a variance and we should be doing the Duncan factors if we
Well,
grant a
so-
variance. So we're just assuming.
So, but the
that-
property owner has to ask. for
Sure.
variance.
If I could, like, at one point, probably 6 months ago, you did approve the parcel that we're talking about as a buildable parcel.
Yeah, we did not. Zoning did.
Zoning.
Okay.
Zoning did, yeah.
Okay,
Just hasn't legally been effectuated.
Because of this issue.
Right.
Right, this outstanding issue.
It's contingent on this in order for them to split it. So we'll just
Was this relevant?
assume that it is a split and we do these Duncan factors with every variance. So I would say we should do them. Anybody else object?
I think,
We could also say it's not applicable. If you feel it's
Yeah, I
not
just-
applicable, the answer to something.
Oh, no. we know
I
that.
think just saying
Yeah.
that it's not applicable in this case
There's some.
would
There is.
probably be
The
the best
entire
way to go.
Duncan
We
factors.
into all of them?
It's here.
Considering it doesn't exist, without the variance, I'm not sure if you,
because all we're doing is, we're trying to grant an easement, basically.
yeah,
I agree. We should skip the Duncan factors because it's not applicable.
yeah.
You feel that way
I
too?
feel like we should still do it, but
I do too.
I think the
If you
question
feel like-
becomes whether, it says whether the property in question. So is the property in question 26 acres or 2 point something acres?
That's. I just don't know how we can, Charlie could answer these.
Well, okay, so the first one, will the property yield a reasonable return? Or can there be a beneficial use of the property without the variance? I
Which-
suppose we're talking about the 26 acres,
Okay, that's what I would say too.
right?
Yeah.
What is in the legal notice? Which parcel number? The 26 acres?
No, what we're doing is we're granting a variance to get a shared driveway on the 2 acres.
So there's no parcel number associated with the.
It's the 26 acres, that parcel number from the 26 acres, because it does not have its own parcel number because it hasn't been
Well,
split.
Well, I think that answers Lindsay's, take on it, is that we're making a variance on the 26 acres, not
Right.
on, right, okay,
So we should,
yeah, then I'm fine with it then.
and if
Okay.
you feel individually that
No, no,
it's not
good.
applicable or you
Yeah.
cannot answer the question, that'll be,
so.
but I think we should, because I
Okay.
mean, we do the duck and factors with every variance.
Okay,
And some of the questions may not be applicable or related to that variance, but.
Yep. Okay, fair.
So let's just move forward with it.
Yep.
Okay. All right, we're ready again. Will the property yield a reasonable return, or can there be a beneficial use of the property without the variance?
Rubel,
Yes.
Schrader,
Yes.
Schaefer,
Yes,
Selesnik.
yes,
Calabro.
Yes. Is the variance substantial?
Schrader,
No.
Schaefer.
no,
Selesnik,
no,
Calabro,
No.
Rubel.
No.
Will the essential character of the neighborhood be substantially altered, or will adjoining properties suffer a substantial detriment if the variance is granted?
Schaefer.
no,
Selesnik.
no,
Calabro,
No.
Rubel,
No.
Schrader,
No.
Will the variance adversely affect the delivery of governmental services?
Selesnik.
no,
Calabro,
No.
Rubel,
No.
Schrader,
No.
Schaefer.
no,
Did the property owner purchase the property with knowledge of the zoning restrictions?
Calabro,
No, as testified. Actually, I don't even know if that really applies. If this question applies, so I would say not applicable. Yes, please.
Okay. Rubel,
Not applicable. I think that this is difficult.
Yeah,
I'll leave it at that.
yeah.
Schrader,
I'll say, not applicable.
Schaefer,
not applicable.
Selesnik.
definitely not applicable.
Can the problem be solved by some manner other than granting of a variance?
Rubel,
No.
Schrader,
No.
Schaefer,
No,
Selesnik,
Yes,
Calabro,
No. Does the variance preserve the spirit and intent of the zoning requirement, and will substantial justice be done by granting the variance?
Schrader,
Yes.
Schaefer,
yes,
Selesnik.
yes,
Calabro,
Yes.
Rubel,
Yes.
now, I think we skipped number 5,
Did we?
did we?
did we?
No,
No.
Did the
that was
property
not
owner
applicable.
purchase-
not
That's
applicable
right.
because.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's-
So, any person adversely affected by a decision of the Board of Zoning Appeals may appeal to the Court of Common Pleas of Medina County on the grounds that such decision was unreasonable or unlawful. And at this point, I will ask for a motion.
Okay, I make a motion to grant an application for variance, AP 0277, submitted by David Christopher on behalf of property owner Joseph Van Duzen of 1041 Center Road, Hinckley, Ohio. Permanent parcel number 01603B45009, requesting to permit a newly created residential parcel marked parcel A to share an existing oil well access driveway at the stated address, which does not meet the driveway requirements pursuant to the Hinckley Township zoning regulations. Chapter 4, General Regulations, sections 4.4.b and 4.4.c, driveways, and Chapter 6, subsection 6R1.4.g, area, yard, and height regulations of the Hinckley Township zoning regulations.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, that's Tom. All right, so before we take a vote, a yes simple majority with a quorum present is in favor of the applicant. A no simple majority or a tie vote denies the applicant this request. So, ready?
Okay, Calabro,
Yes.
Selesnik.
Yes.
Schaefer.
No,
Raider,
Yes.
Rubel.
Yes, and I just want to qualify that my yes is due to the fact that this is not going to be a shared residential driveway. Excuse me, it's only going to be shared with the oil well gas access.
Very, very good.
Okay,
So stipulated.
so it has passed 4-0. Your variance has been
4 to 1,
requested.
4 to
I'm
1.
sorry,
4 to
4 to 1. You have a year from the date of this hearing to begin construction or to act upon your approved request, or a day. Anyone adversely affected by this decision has 30 days from the date in which the minutes of this hearing are approved to file suit or appeal. Meeting minutes are typically approved at the next regular meeting, and upon approval of this hearing's minutes, such minutes will be posted and available in the township website. And we have something to sign. Get you a copy. What's that?
You're phenomenal.
And I don't.
Oh, sorry.
Oh.
Again.
Yes.
Copy.
Good.
Sit in silence. All right. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
so moved.
Bill, in a second?
Second.
That's Tom. We are adjourned at 7:57.
Aye.
Oh, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, everybody agrees. We should adjourn at 7:58. 7:58 on Wednesday, October 22nd.